If you've been striving for this life of flexibility where you can work for yourself, get the dollar bills, and do it wherever you want, and it hasn't happened yet, I think you're a lot closer than you think. And I know that because I struggled for a long time, and I was doing the things I thought I was supposed to do. I was making the videos, I was providing the valuable free content, I was making offers, and I was telling people, hey, here you go, give me your money. And I didn't make all that much money. Now, to be transparent, I've had quite a few different business ventures over the years, from teaching yoga and meditation, workshops on mindfulness, to doing video production stuff for a lot of companies. I've been on camera, I've been off camera, I've done both at the same time, and I've done a lot of consulting and whatnot and coaching. So I've done quite a few bits and bobs, and I did that to reasonable success for a long time. But there was always this sort of struggle. I was always missing something, and I was really surprised when I realized how many blind spots that I had. And this only really became apparent to me when I started asking people questions. And the first game-changing question that I asked a friend of mine who, I consider a mentor, he's wiser than me, in my opinion. And I asked him how much he charged for his video services. Now you can apply this to any example, right? But I asked him how much he was charging, and he told me how much he was charging. And at the time I was charging 150 euro per day. Like, that's the most I'd ever asked someone to pay me. And he told me what he was charging, and it was a hell of a lot more than 150 euros, I'll tell you that for free. And so he instilled in me the belief that I could ask for more than 150 euros. And so the next day I had a prospect who I was quoting on a job, and I told them 450 euros. So just like that, whatever you multiple that is of my day rate. And this person said, yeah, sure. And that was the first time I had charged that kind of money. And I broke into a new paradigm. And all of a sudden, pricing was a game. Because I wondered then, how much could I have charged before this person would have said no? Now that's one paradigm shift. Another really interesting one was around more so the mentorship space. So I do mentorship, I've been doing it for quite a long time now. But unbeknownst to me, I was missing a few tricks when it came to actually welcoming people into the mentorship experiences that I was running. And I think you might be too, because I know a lot of you are doing big things in the world. You're already offering your services, and maybe you've had a few clients here and there, but there's something not working. And that's where I was. I was doing lots of stuff, but I didn't have like a big payday, I suppose you could say. And the first time that I was able to generate 20,000 in a month, which was my biggest month up until that point, it was just after I had been back and forth with this guy for a while who was, kind of helping me out with my business, and we were bouncing ideas. And he had done what I was trying to do pretty successfully up until that point. So we made an agreement that we were going to work together. And he kind of just looked at my stuff and gave me this perspective that I had never considered. Like, one thing in particular was around landing pages. And I just thought a landing page was a place that you just sent people to buy your shit. I didn't really think anything more of it. I looked at a few people's landing page and just copied what they did. It was only by having someone look at my landing page that he pointed out all of these things that were ineffective. And it made sense to me when it was pointed out to me, but before it was pointed out to me, I had no idea that there was nuance to a landing page. And by making this change, I pretty much made like 20 grand that month just from a small shift, and some other stuff too that I'm not going to get into right now because this would be 2 hours long if I told you every single change that I made. But the point is, there's stuff that I didn't know about that once I learned about it, I was able to drastically change my reality. I was able to change how the business worked. And what's real cool is I invited someone into my mentorship just 2 weeks ago. I think they've been in the mentorship. And they had a very similar problem to that one that I had back then around a landing page. And there was no one signing up basically to their offer, which was a shame because it was a great offer. And this is a really great person who has a lot of value to share. But because the landing page wasn't quite on point, it was kind of tricky. And so we kind of made some different choices with how to organize it all and with the sales process as well. And just a couple of days ago, they landed their first client for this program with this new sort of system that we kind of adapted. And so that's just one piece of information. And, you know, this is a high ticket program. So just like that, you've kind of made a big shift in your business. Now, so someone else in the group as well had a similar kind of issue, not so much with the landing page, but it was around how they were doing the discovery call. So they didn't have a very clear intention going into it, basically, to cut a long story short. So that's a problem that I faced as well. I used to do loads of calls with people and I didn't quite know what I was selling. I didn't quite understand what the purpose of a discovery call was. And again, I got a lot of support and help from people smarter than me to learn this process. And then I, adapted to my kind of unique way, because we all bring our own vibes into these things. But then again, I just shared this process, asked, wait, what are you doing? Okay, that's a problem. That's a problem. What if we do this instead? And the next time he had a call, he was able to secure his first paying client in this particular offer. And again, that's just the power of figuring out what you don't know. And having the humility to be like, I don't know what to do. I mean, I think it's this. I've watched all of Dan Coe's videos and I've done everything he said, but it's not working. We've all been there. It's probably specifically watching Dan Coe videos too, if you're here. And sometimes you just need someone to look at your specific situation to get that clarity. Because often we interpret stuff, through our limited perception. So like, if we're the one doing all of the things that aren't working, obviously the next thing we're going to do, it's probably not going to work either, because we are too close to the thing that we're trying to do. So you really need to step back, or even better yet, bring in someone else to look at it for you, because they're so far removed from it. They're not emotional about it. They're just going to look at it and call a spade a spade. And if you want to join our mentorship, there's spots open up until August now. So that's about 5 days from now. It's August 1st. And I'll be taking in a few more people for the mentorship. It's very small because I give my attention to everyone. So I look at everybody's offers, videos, landing pages, your sales call recordings as well, if you want that. So it's a very intimate experience, and so there's limited spots. But if you want to develop these approaches and these systems and these frameworks to hit 10 and 20K per month and beyond, then now is your opportunity. You can apply. I'll put a link in the description. I won't be taking any applications after August 1st. So if you're not in by then you're not in. So that's going to be down in the description. Now, another area that I love to constantly discover is my own psyche. Because the most fascinating thing, despite having achieved some things that I would have been really chuffed with 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I still, to this day, cannot seem to escape the idea that maybe I don't know what I'm doing. And this is incredible because it means I'm a human. And every single person I've ever worked with has this same challenge. And what does this mean for you? Well, it means that feeling that you have where you're afraid to launch your offer or you're afraid to make your first video is completely freaking normal. And you don't have to let that feeling stop you from going and doing the thing. Isn't that a huge relief? To know that the thing you're waiting for ain't gonna come. You are never gonna feel confident enough to make a video. So, are you gonna make a video? Or are you gonna pretend and lie to yourself and say, someday, I don't have the time right now. Bro, it takes 10 minutes to make a 10-minute video. At least it does for me. So, I'm just gonna call you out there and invite you to just do it. You know you wanna do it. You wouldn't be here if you didn't wanna do it. And sometimes we all need a little encouragement. I know I do. And it's fun when you do it with people, because it can be a lonely old road when you don't know anybody in your real life doing these things. So that's why you need to find like-minded people. Like find an online community. There's school communities everywhere. I actually have one, by chance. And when you do it with people, it just makes it more fun. Because you realize that everyone is learning, everyone is growing, nobody really knows what they're doing. But we get to a point where, you know, we slay a dragon, and then there's another dragon to slay. And then you got to ask someone who slayed that dragon, hey, how did you do it? What weapons did you use? What's the fire like from that dragon? Like, will my dragon fire shield work? That's a RuneScape analogy. But this is literally what you got to do. You need to realize you don't have a clue what you're doing, or even if you do have a strong sense of what you're doing, there's certain things, there's certain keys that you are missing. And it's only when you get the key that you can open the door and enjoy all of the treasure inside. So get the key. And sometimes that key is just witnessing someone else do the thing you want to do. That's what it was for me when my mentor told me that he was charging what he was charging for making videos. And I was like, well, if he's doing it, I can do it. Because why not? I make good videos. It's the same with getting your first high-ticket clients, you know? The first one, you're going to think, why would anyone pay me thousands of euro or dollars or whatever to do this thing? Well, look, it's because they need help and they think you're the person to give them the help. So if you don't say, hey, this is the price, you're not going to get paid 2 grand or 3 grand or 5 grand, whatever you want. Okay, so you need to realize that you might fail a few times before you get it right. Most people, they'll launch an offer, and after 2 weeks or something, they'll say, oh, nobody wants it. Like, it's not working. Like, online business, it doesn't work. It's all a scam. How about look at the areas, like look at your offer, look at your landing page, look at your sales process, look at your content, look at your frequency of posting, look at all of these things. Look at the trust, the credibility that you've built up until this point, and try to isolate what might actually be the problem. Because I'm telling you, it's not a freaking scam. It's just business. You give someone something, they give you something. So if you're not able to get your thing into their hands, it's because for some reason they either don't want it or they haven't been able to acquire it in an effortless way. So maybe your copy is bad. Maybe no one wants that offer because it's a bad offer. Maybe your landing page is ineffective. Maybe you don't know how to do a discovery call and you end up just giving people free coaching sessions for years like I did and wonder why you can't do anything. It's because you're missing all of these really important elements of packaging, of psychology, of sales, of marketing, of storytelling. All of this stuff is fundamental to your success in this space. And you wishing and praying is useful, don't get me wrong, I'm all about that, I'm all about the woo, but you also got to do the strategic things that make it easy for a customer to give you money. So that means you got to identify what they need, speak to them in a way that makes sense, give them an easy way to learn more about your offering, and give them a really easy, a great reason to buy it by really identifying how it's going to help them, telling them that, and then just being a human. That's what it is. You're being a human. And then you just close it. That is literally how you succeed in this space. Whether you're doing a coaching offer, whether you're doing a done for you, web design, making videos, like I do this stuff. I've done all of this stuff. And it's the same process. It's about finding a person that needs help with the thing that you can help them with. I don't have anything more to say. If you want to join my mentorship, I welcome you to apply. No pressure. The link will be in the description till the August 1st. And in the meantime, you can just watch this video here and you can learn my entire process for my organic attraction method. It's how I pretty consistently make 20 grand a month, just making videos and sharing the value that I have to give to the world. So check that out next.